Hello everyone, this is Gracie here. So we will be discussing with the problem number 2.4 from the chapter job costing. So in this problem, from the following particulars, prepare the cost sheet for job number 75, and they've given you the direct expenses here. Materials issued for the job rupees 6,000, direct expenses 500, productive wages 4,600, and they've given you an adjustment stating provide 60% on productive wages for works on cost and 12.5% or 12.5% on works cost for office expenses, profit to be realized on the selling price 15%. So let us get into the job cost sheet. This is the job cost sheet. This is the solution part. Job cost sheet, job number 75. Materials as per the question. Materials 6,000 and we have taken 6,000. Then you have productive wages 4,600. We have taken 4,600 and you have your direct expenses 500. So you have taken all your direct expenses, that is materials, wages and your direct expenses. When you add up your direct expenses as per your cost sheet, you will be getting your prime cost. So your total prime cost when you add up 6,000 plus 4,600 plus 500, you will be getting 11,100. So what your adjustment states is provide 60% on productive wages for works on cost. So what they are stating here, to find out works on cost, you need to charge 60% on productive wages will give you works on cost. That is your works cost. So how much is your productive wages here? 4,600. So 4,600 into 60% will give you works cost. So we have done the calculation here. So we'll get into the calculation here. So this is your calculation. Working note, 60% on productive wages for works on cost. So your productive wages as per the question is 4,600. So 60% of it is your calculation. So 4,600 into 60% will give you 2,760. That is what you have taken in your problem. So if you look into here, works on cost, 60% of productive wages will give you 2,760. Then what is your question stating? When you add up 2,760 works on cost, you will be getting your total works cost, which will give you 13,860. Next, your question states, and 12.5% on works cost for office expenses. That means you need to charge 12.5 or 12.5% on the works cost total. So you will be getting your office and administration expenses. So here the calculation is 12.5% on works cost for your office cost. So works cost as per the calculation, what is your total works cost? What you have got is 13,860. So on 13,860 into 12.5%, you will be getting 1,732.5. So you will be taking here your office on cost 12.5% on works cost will give you 1,732.5. So when you add your works cost plus office expenses, it will give you your total cost or cost of production, which is 15,592.50. Then after this, what is stated in the question is they have asked you to find out profit to be realized on the selling price 15%. So this is profit on selling price. So when it is profit on selling price, profit to be realized on the selling price 15%. So what is the formula for selling prices? Cost plus profit will give you your selling price. So when it is this situation, you will assume sales to be 100%. So when you assume sales to be 100%, then cost and profit will be distributed among this 100%. As they have stated in the question, 15% is profit, then the remaining balance is 85. How did you get 85? Is 100 minus 15 will give you your cost percentage, which is 85%. So I've already told you all to find out as in this problem you have only cost price. You need to charge your percentage to find out your selling price or profit, you need to use your cost price in this problem, because in this problem you have only cost of production, you don't have your selling price. So you have found out your cost percentage, so using the cost price, so as per the problem your cost price or cost of production is 15,592.50. so on that the formula will be, as I've discussed in the previous video, the formula is here cost price into profit divided by cost percentage. So your cost price is 15,592.50 is your cost price, into your profit is 15%, divided by cost price is 85, cost percent is 85%. So when you do this calculation you will be getting your profit, which is 2,751.62. So when you take here, the profit on sales is 2,751.62. So the total, when you add your cost of production plus profit, you will be getting your selling price. This is how you will find out. So please remember the formula always: profit divided by cost. Cost when the cost price is given, profit divided by sales when the selling price is given, and you need to find out the profit. So please remember this. Your next problem is problem number 2.5. In this question, the following expenses were incurred for a job during the year ended 31st December 2015. They have given you direct materials 3,000, direct wages 4,000, chargeable expenses 1,000, factory overheads 2,000, selling and distribution overheads 2,000, administration overhead 3,000. Selling price for the above job was rupees 18,000. You are required to prepare a statement showing the profit earned for the year 2015 from the job and an estimated price of a job which is to be executed in the year 2016. Then they have stated materials, wages and chargeable expenses will be required of rupees 5,000 and rupees 7,000 and rupees 2,000 respectively for the job. The various overheads should be covered on the following basis while calculating the estimated price. Factory overhead as a percentage of direct wages, administration and selling distribution overhead as a percentage of factory cost. So what they have given in this problem is, they have given the details for the year ending 31st 12/2015, and from those details they have asked you to find out your estimated cost sheet. So your estimated cost sheet for the next year, that is for the year 2016. So for this, in this problem we will be preparing two cost sheet. Using this data we will prepare one cost sheet. Then with that cost sheet we will find out what is the percentage of each expenses. Then we will prepare your estimated job cost sheet. So let us get into your solution. So your estimated cost sheet, job cost sheet, this is your job cost sheet for the year ending 31st 12/2015, and they have also asked us to prepare estimated cost sheet for the year 2016. First we will prepare cost sheet for 2015 with the information given. So in this, first you need to find out what are your direct expenses. Your direct material, direct wages and chargeable expenses are your direct expenses. Chargeable expense is nothing but it is also called as direct expense. So these three expenses will be added up to find out your prime cost. Then the other expenses will be considered. So now how much is your direct materials is 3,000. So we will be taking direct materials 3,000. Next we have direct wages. Direct wages is 4,000. So direct wages 4,000, we will be taking direct wages 4,000. Next, chargeable expenses or direct expenses is how much? 1,000. So we will be taking 1,000. The total of 3,000 plus 4,000 plus 1,000 will give you 8,000. So your total prime cost is 8,000. Then the information about your after prime cost, it's usually your factory overhead, administration expense, selling and distribution. We need to check whether they have given in the problem. Yes. So if you get into this question, after chargeable expense, they have given you factory overhead. So how much is your factory overhead? 2,000. So in this problem, they have directly given you and they are asked you to find out your estimated. So you have some calculation in your estimated, where in 2015 to prepare the cost sheet is simple. So factory overhead is directly given. which is 2000. So you will be taking factory overhead 2000. So prime cost plus factory overhead will give you the total of factory cost, which is 10,000. So 8,000 plus 2,000 is 10,000. Next, after finding factory cost is your administration, office and administration expenses. Let us look into the question. Have they given administration expenses details? Yes, they have given here. After selling and distribution, they have given your administration overheads. So how much is your administration overheads? Which is 3,000. So you will be taking into your cost sheet administration overhead 3,000. So factory cost plus administration, office and administration expenses 3,000. 10,000 plus 3,000 will give you your cost of production, which is 13,000. So after producing, what will you do? Your selling expenses. So you need to check whether they have given selling and distribution expenses in the problem. So yes, they have given here selling and distribution overheads, which is nothing but expenses, which is 2,000. So you will be taking into the problem 2,000. So cost of production plus selling and expenses will give you your total cost. So 13,000 plus 2,000 will give you 15,000. This is total cost or cost of sales. So next, you need to find out your selling price. Cost price you have. You need to find out your selling price. Before finding your selling price, you need to know your profit. So cost plus profit will give you your selling price. So let us check whether they have given the information about profit. Selling price for the above job was 18,000. You are required to prepare a statement showing the profit earned for the year 2015 from the job and estimated price of the job which is to be executed in the year 2016. Yes, in this problem they have not given you the profit, but they have given you the selling price, which is rupees 18,000, and they have asked us you need to show the profit which you are going to earn from 2015. Yes, we can easily find out because we have cost price. Now we have selling price in the question, which is 18,000. So selling price minus cost price, the difference will give you your profit. So in this question we have 15,000 and we have 18,000 given in the problem. So 18 minus 15 will give you your profit, which is 3,000. So now we have prepared the cost sheet for the year 2015, but in the question they have asked us to prepare estimated job cost sheet with for the year 2016. So let us get into that cost sheet. So let us continue with the question. We will check whether they have given any expenses details for the year 2016. Material, wages and chargeable expenses will be required of 5,000, 7,000 and 2,000 respectively. So in this problem they have given you the direct expenses here. So they have told material will be 5,000, wages will be 7,000, chargeable expense or direct expense will be 2,000. Then the various overhead should be recovered on the following basis while calculating estimated price. Yes, so first we will take your direct expenses. How much is your materials? 5,000. So now in our estimated cost sheet we will take materials 5,000. Then they have given direct wages. How much? Wages is 7,000. So we will take 7,000. Wages 7,000. So how much was your direct expenses? That is your chargeable expenses, which is and 2,000 here. So your chargeable expenses is 2,000. So 2,000 is your chargeable expense. So the total of your direct expenses will give you your prime cost. So how much is your prime cost? 5,000 plus 7,000 plus 2,000 will give you 14,000. Then you need to find out your factory overhead. Here is a place where your actual calculation starts. So what they have told in the question, how are you going to charge your factory expense? They have given here the various expenses or overhead should be recovered on the following basis while calculating the estimated price. So A, factory overhead as a percentage of direct wages. So factory overhead, how is it recovered? On the percentage of direct wages. So the formula will be discussed here. So let us get into the calculation of these 2 points to find out what is the percentages of the expenses you need to charge. So now here the working note is factory overhead as a percentage of direct wages. So the formula will be factory overhead divided by direct wages. So for this, how will you get this formula? I've already explained in the previous videos. Through cross multiplication also you can do this calculation. So any doubt how did you get this formula, please go through your previous videos. So factory overhead divided by direct wages. Why direct wages? Because they have said in the question factory overhead as a percentage of direct wages. So from direct wages a factory overhead is being charged. So factory overhead divided by direct wages into 100 will give you your percentage of on which you are going to charge for the estimated cost sheet. So how much is your factory overhead as per last year data? So this is your last year's, that is 2015 cost sheet. So in this cost sheet your factory overhead was 2000. Yes, so 2000 divided by direct wages. How much is your direct wages in your previous year's cost sheet? 4000. So 2000 is your factory overhead, 4000 is your direct wages into 100. So 2000 divided by 4000 into 100 will give you 50%. Next we have second point. The question states administration and selling and distribution overhead as a percentage of factory cost. So they are telling here your administration and selling will be distributed from the factory cost. So find out what is the percentage from the previous year and charge it for the next year. So let us find out the percentage through the working note. Administration overhead as a percentage of factory cost. So from your administration overhead is taken from your factory cost. So what will be the percentage? So the formula will be administration overhead divided by factory cost into 100. So your administration overhead in your previous cost sheet is 3000. And how much is your factory overhead? How much is your factory overhead? So administration overhead is 3000 and your factory cost as per previous statement is 10,000. So administration overhead 3000 divided by 10,000 into 100 will give you 30%. So for your estimated cost sheet you will be charging 30% from your factory cost. Next, and they have also told in the question your selling and distribution overhead will also be a percentage of your factory cost. So now your selling and distribution expenses as a percentage of factory cost, the formula will be selling and distribution overhead divided by factory cost into 100. So selling and distribution overhead is 2000. So 2000 divided by factory cost is 10,000. So 2000 divided by 10,000 into 100 will give you 20%. So this is a percentage where you'll be using to charge your expenses for your estimated cost sheet. Next, they have not given any information about the profit, so you will look into the profit in your last step. So let us prepare the cost sheet till here. So let us get into the cost sheet. So we have already taken into consideration your direct expenses and found out your prime cost, which is 14,000. Now we will be finding out your factory overhead using the percentage. After prime cost is your factory overhead. So how much is your factory overhead? As per the calculation is 50%. On what? On direct wages. So with your current year data, so now you have factory overhead here. So on direct wages, so how much is your direct wages? 7,000. So 7,000 into 50% will give you your 3,500. Next, so factory overhead is on direct wages. So I will show the calculation here to you all. Please look into the working note.
Now let us get into the working note. Before getting into the working note, factory overhead is 50% of direct wages. So how is the calculation done? Let us look into the working note. So here factory overhead on direct wages. So for this estimated cost sheet, what is the factory overhead? So what is the expenses? So here in the estimated cost sheet, factory overhead direct wages is 7,000. 7,000 into 50%. You all know how you got this 50% from this calculation. These figures are from the previous year's data. So from this previous year's data only we will get the percentage. So please remember, while finding out the percentage, we take into consideration the previous year's figures, and this percentage will be used in your estimated cost sheet. So all these figures are from the previous year's data, that is your previous year's cost sheet, and the percentage are used for the estimated cost sheet calculation. So now here 7,000 is your current year's direct wages. So you can see here on this current year direct wages they have told 50%. So 50% of 7,000, that is here 7,000 into 50% will give you 3,500. So here, so you have got 3,500, and the next is your the total of your prime cost plus factory expenses will give you your factory cost, which is 17,500. Now your next expenses will be office and administration overhead. For your office and administration overhead also you have found out your percentage, that is 30%. So 30% on factory cost will give you your estimated cost sheet administration overhead. So what is the percentage? 30%. This 30% you will be charging on current year's factory cost. What is your current year's factory cost? Which is 17,500. And what is the percentage? 30%. So in your working note, 17,500 into 30%, which you got from that working note, will give you 5,250. So here you've got 5,250. Then when you total your factory cost plus administration expense, you will get your cost of production. So after cost of production, you will spend money on your selling and distribution. So cost of production is 22,750. As you have told in the question, your selling and distribution will also be on your factory cost. So the percentage you have found out here, selling and distribution overhead as a percentage of factory cost using the previous data, you have found out the percentage is 20%. So this percentage you will be using for this estimated cost sheet. So in this estimated cost sheet, 20% on factory cost. So what is your factory cost? 17,500 into 20% in your working note. 17,500 into 20% will give you 3,500. So you have taken here as 3,500. Then after getting your selling and distribution expense, you will add your cost of production, which is 22,750 plus 3,500. You will be getting the total cost, which is 26,250. So from this total cost, you will be finding out your profit. So profit also, you know the formula to find on cost price. If the cost price is there, and to find out the profit, here the formula is same, profit divided by cost into 100. You have selling price and you want to find out profit, the formula will be selling price is equal to profit divided by selling price into 100. So using that formula with the previous year's data, we will find out the selling price. So here profit is equal to to find out profit divided by cost of sales into 100. So profit is how much? 3,000. So how did you get 3,000 in your previous year's data? To find out your previous year's percentage. So your profit, which is there from your estimated cost sheet, which is 3,000, divided by total cost or cost of sales, will give you the percentage divided by 15,000. As you have cost price, you can use your selling price also, but here as you have your cost price, we will use your cost price. So 3,000 divided by 15,000 into 100 will give you 20%. So this is your profit percentage on cost. So if you have taken cost of profit divided by sales, then you will be charging 20. The percentage will vary. Then you will be charging that percentage on the selling price. But in the estimated cost sheet, we have only cost price. We are yet to find out your selling price. So it is better to find the percentage on cost. So that is why in this formula, profit divided by cost into 100 is taken, not profit divided by sales. sales. So your profit is 3,000. Your cost for the previous data is how much? 15,000 into 100 will give you 20%. So this 20% will be used for the current year. So as it is found out using the formula on cost, 20% on cost. So you have cost 26,250 into 20% of total cost will give you 5,250. So 26,250 of your total cost into 20% of profit percentage, which you have got here 20%. 20% will give you 5,250. So your total cost plus your profit will give you your selling price, which is 31,500. So this is your estimated cost sheet. Thank you everyone.